We are really pleased to release a new book to the global education community. This book is titled The Contextualization of 21st Century Skills Assessment in East Africa. We are members of the Regional Education Learning Initiative working in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Our work and our vision is rooted in the conviction that our children require life skills and values. This is our way of calling the 21st century skills or social-emotional learning competencies and other terms that are used in other contexts. We started this collaboration in August of 2020, and our work has looked at how our education systems could be supported so that every learner going through schooling now in our 3 countries has the competencies that they need for learning, for working, and for living. This book is authored by 20 people. 90% of them participated in this work across the 3 countries. And this might be the first book that is written by people who are rooted in the context of education in East Africa, local people in East Africa telling their own story. Contained in this book are 3 stories. The first is a story of contextualization. It has been argued that these competencies are deeply rooted in context, meaning that they don't work the same everywhere. And even in assessing, the assessment itself is connected to local aspects like language, culture, and classroom practice, among others. To achieve this, we conducted contextualization studies, first starting with a structured literature review to look at what was there globally in respect to the 3 skills and 1 value that we assessed: problem solving, collaboration, self-awareness, and also 1 value, the value of respect. We went to 15 districts, 5 districts in Kenya, 5 in Tanzania, and 5 in Uganda, and sat under trees with adolescents, with parents, with other people like social workers, catechists, imams who work with adolescents on a continued basis, and asked them what problem solving or self-awareness or collaboration meant in their context, including the collection of a set of problems that people of that age of 13 to 17 years solved, or what self-awareness meant to a girl who is 14 years old, or a boy attending school or not attending school. And this became the critical foundation for the assessment that we created. And we used this as the raw material for the development of items. That contextualization story is a powerful one, and it is brought out in this book through a couple of chapters that present what findings we came up with and what is unique or comparable to global literature in respect to the understanding of these competences. The second story is the story of a large-scale assessment. We built on the experience of Uwezo assessments that are focused over the last 10 years on literacy and numeracy to drive a citizen-led assessment that focuses on values and life skills. We conducted a household assessment that reached more than 45,000 adolescents in close to 37,000 households. And this large-scale assessment might be arguably the largest piece of work or assessment conducted in the context of East Africa. This story, hidden in it, is also the methodological aspects of household assessments and how we use different combinations of considerations to put together reliable and valid assessments for our context. The third story, hidden in this book and not the least important, is a story of localization. Alive's approach to localization is 2-pronged. One is a capacity strengthening of local experts that are doing work here in East Africa. We worked with 47 local experts from government, from academia, Rally members that are working in various organizations to learn how to develop these assessments for our context. We worked over a period of 45 weeks under the leadership and mentorship of Professor Esther Kerr of Melbourne University. And at the end of the 45 weeks, we were able to develop items, pilot them, and even conduct the large-scale assessment by ourselves. And the second component to the capacity strengthening is on writing. Gladly to report that 50% of the authors of this book are people that have not written academic material of this level. It is such a celebration to see people working here in East Africa who understand the context best, rising to the occasion of telling their own story. And the second dimension of localization is voice, telling our own story. People here in Sub-Saharan Africa have not taken this up, and indeed most of the publications on Africa are not by Africans. This is a demonstration that with this greater emancipation through a catalytic approach like Alive, people like ourselves in East Africa can tell our story without relying on other people from the global north and other places to be the ones telling the story. This book is very unique. What is contained in this book is our own emancipation, is our own telling of a story, rather than other people telling our story, rising up to the occasion so that we are in charge of our story. Many countries in Sub-Saharan Africa have not been able to do such work. So we are really proud and we congratulate everyone who participated in writing this book. More than half of them are first-time authors for the work they have done that is splendid in getting our voice heard in telling our own story. We are giving this book out to 5 categories of audiences. First is the global education community, the many people that are working on education policy globally on SDG 4, especially SDG 4.7, and other policies that are touching on global education and where we are in the SDGs era and even post-SDG. The second category are people working in government, decision makers, policy makers in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, and even the jurisdiction of Zanzibar, who might be figuring out how to breathe life into competence-based curricula that our countries are implementing, and teachers who might have better ways of knowing how to observe, how to assess these competencies in classroom or household context for parents. The third category are academia, researchers in East Africa, in Sub-Saharan Africa and beyond, who are looking for ways of tackling research questions that are linked to these very complex competencies. We are giving this book out also to people that are working in large interventions, in civil society, members of RELI and other networks that are working across Africa and other contexts of Global South, to find something, not that we use this to measure or assess and evaluate interventions, but it gives and offers ideas on where one could begin if one was to construct assessments for other purposes. And lastly are the funders, people that are supporting education here in Africa, but also elsewhere, to find that it is possible to locate people that are rooted in context, support, capacitate them and support their agency to develop and tell their own story. We are glad now to offer this book and announce that the book is fully open sourced. The online link that you click on is free. If you prefer to read a hard copy, then you'd pay for the printing cost only. And we are also open sourcing the data to collaborate with other people to figure out better ways and other ways of analyzing the data that we collected. We are open sourcing the Alive tools so that people working in various places can find this useful for themselves and even feel free with our support to adapt also to their context. And also we are open sourcing the experts that have worked so hard to produce this book and to do the alive work. We are ready to collaborate with the world until when we achieve our vision that every learner in East Africa acquires values and life skills. Thank you.